It's a Thursday.
Guys, did you expect to see us this soon?
Here we are.
Look at us.
I'm so excited to do this because this is the first ever sports gossip show event recap.
Yes.
And the event in question, Madeline.
Well, it is a cinematic adventure.
Can I be honest with you?
What?
The entire time that we've been talking about this and planning, I cannot remember the name of this movie.
I
have
just had
no
to
idea.
look-
I have no idea what it's called. We're reviewing a movie today,
I'm
guys.
so-
I don't know what it's called. I watched it.
I'm so glad you asked because I have it pulled up on my computer in like 45-point font because I'm not wearing my glasses. We watched the incredible Hallmark original film, Holiday Touchdown, A Chief's Love Story.
That's what it's called. I was like, Chief's Touchdown, a holiday love story?
Can I confess something?
You could switch any word in there and it would still work as a movie title,
100%.
Right?
100%. I have to confess something though, but I think
What?
you also thought this too. Going into this movie, we thought it was a different movie. We thought it was the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce remake. That movie is a Lifetime movie.
We were like, we have to watch this because it's about Taylor Swift.
And then I was like-
and then Madeline watched it before I didn't text me. She's like, I don't think this is the right movie.
Because I'm like, wait, this plot doesn't make sense. Taylor Swift doesn't own a Chiefs merch store.
Which I have
we'll
a
get
lot
into.
of questions about. But Madeline was already too deep in.
I was too deep in.
And I was like, well, now I have to watch it. And it actually, I'm so glad because this was a gift that keeps on giving.
Gift that keeps on giving. And I do think we will do that, Taylor Swift.
I think we have to now.
We have to.
Because I'm also just curious. Now I'm like, I want to know the difference between Hallmark and Lifetime.
Yeah, right. Right.
Okay, before we get into this, let me ask you a question.
What?
Have you watched Hallmark movies before? Do you get into them at Christmas?
No.
Me neither.
I've never seen any of them. I have seen a couple of the Lacey Chabert. What's her last name? From Mean Girls.
Who played Gretchen in Mean Girls?
Yes. She's in a lot of Hallmark movies. So I've seen like a couple clips of those. But no, I have seen a couple of the Netflix Christmas movies, like the Lindsay Lohan iconic. So glad that she's having a comeback.
Me too.
But no, and I don't think I've seen any of the Lifetime ones really.
Okay.
Have you?
No, and that's why I was curious because I was like, it felt like we were diving into an entirely new art form.
100%.
Like there's clearly a formula to these. They
Yes.
make, I think, like 40 a year. So the budgets are, because some of this production, you're like, this was how you chose to do this. And it's probably because they have 10 days to shoot and $20.
Correct.
So, which is, to be honest, like an art form in and of
Yes,
itself.
it's impressive.
That constraint, what they managed to do with it.
Right. It's definitely impressive. It's impressive.
So,
should we get into it?
let's dive in. I think the way we're going to do this, we're just going to run through the plot and our thoughts as we were
watching
whatever this is.
So spoilers ahead. If you have not seen it, go watch it. Pause now and then come back.
However, I would argue that the 30 to 45 minutes you're going to spend with us talking about it is saving you the hour of extra time that you would have spent watching it.
That's true. That's true.
So we're kind of just, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
We watched it so you don't have to.
We're doing you a favor. Okay, so let's get into it.
All right.
So this movie stars Hunter King as Alana and Tyler Hines as Derek.
Yes, and I did some research on these people. Hunter King is Joey King's sister.
Oh, okay.
The actor who didn't she do stuff with Taylor Swift?
Yes, and she was in the Kissing Booth movies, I believe.
Maybe Joey King's connection to Taylor Swift is how Hunter King, is that her name?
Yeah,
What's her name?
Hunter King.
Hunter King got cast as this lead role because, and I say this with respect for her craft. I did not think she's the greatest actress who has ever graced this earth. So maybe there's a little nudge to be like, but she acts in soap operas.
She gave it her all.
She really did.
I will say.
She really did.
And then this guy, Tyler Hines. Okay. When he showed up on screen, I was like, is this budget Justin Theroux? I don't know what it was about him. It was like how he talked. He's kind of like deep voice moody, and I don't know if that's how he talks normally. Did you get a vibe of that?
100%.
I was like, this is like budget Justin Theroux. He's going to his bar Ray's and like hanging out with girls he met on Raya. Like that is, I was like, this is Hallmark's version of Justin Theroux without tattoos and a motorcycle.
I wrote down he looks like a country singer who didn't make it and works in cloud computing sales now. So it's sort of the same thing.
Sort of the same.
So the story starts because Alana, the young girl, I would say she's, they're supposed to be in their late 20s. Or something. Also, Tyler Hines, that actor, he has been in 20 Hallmark movies since 2018.
No, go off, King. Get that paycheck.
And he speaks like one. He has like a little side mouth thing going on that I think is a mysterious sort of.
Women in Ohio love him.
Exactly,
love him, and
he's Canadian.
Oh,
just feels real. I noticed when he said, "Let me borrow this," when he picks up the ladder. Anyway, sorry.
Okay. So we'll get into the main plot, but I don't know if there was something that happened in the immediate first few moments of this film. There was a montage. There's a montage at the beginning of the film kind of talking about how this girl, Alana, and her family became big Kansas City Chiefs fans. Mm-hmm. And it's a montage from like the 60s and 70s. And the wigs they use in this montage took me out immediately. I was like, no, this wig that the grandpa's supposed to be wearing.
I was laughing so hard too because, full disclosure, we watched this and purposely did not text each other about it or talk about it, so that this is both of our raw reaction that we were both learning for the first time. And as I watched that scene, I was like, Madeline must have lost it, because there's also horrible anti-aging.
Yes.
So here's what we're working with. So the movie opens and we are at the old Chiefs Stadium. I don't remember what it's called. Sorry. And it is the narrator is this girl, Alana. And she says that she exists because both sets of her grandparents bought Chiefs season tickets.
Yeah.
And one of them had a daughter and one of them had a son the same age. And their seats were next to each other. And that son and daughter fell in love and got married. And those are Alana's parents. I don't remember their names, but her mom...
doesn't matter.
Her mom looked like drugstore Allison Janney.
I wrote that down. No. Also, I was like, they were trying to cast her like she's not going to do this.
Where did they find this one? She's a very good doppelganger.
No, she looked very similar. But also what took me out from the parent casting was the guy from Veep playing her dad.
Oh my God, he was the political consultant.
Bader. Yes. I was like, he's Hank. The dad's name is Hank. I wrote that down.
I was like, where do I know this guy from?
No. He's from Veep. Took me out. The funny thing is I feel like he was in his own movie being like, this is a bit, because there are a couple scenes where he's like essentially chuckling to himself. And I'm like, this man was like, I'm here for the bit. It might as well have been a Veep parody in an episode of Veep that they're watching.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree. You look at him and there's something in his eyes that's like winking. He's like, I know. Isn't it funny that I'm here?
Yes. Because immediately I was like, no. And then my husband was overhearing me watch a movie. He's like, is that Diedrich Bader from Veep? And I was like, yes. He's like, yeah, I could tell by his voice.
Yes, it is. And Ed Begley Jr. plays the grandfather, Grandpa Paul. And the whole crux of the story is that there is a Christmas hat. There's a Chiefs hat that Grandpa Paul, that a Salvation Army Santa... budget Salvation Army, because they don't have the right
to that,
gave to Grandpa Paul. Yeah, the Santa on the street gave Grandpa Paul this hat, and it was a homemade Chiefs hat, and it has Paul inscribed on the inside. And then Paul wore it in 1969 when the Chiefs won whatever year. When they won Super Bowl IV, which was their first Super Bowl, and then it was another 50 years. Correct. Until they won the next one. Yeah, it was 69, because then it was
2019.
Yeah. Wait. And 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
And then the next time that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, someone wore the hat, and every time that the Chiefs have gotten to the Super Bowl, someone in the family has worn the hat, and so this family is up for Fan of the Year, as to be determined by the Chiefs organization.
I have so many more thoughts about the hat plotline in a minute, which I will get to. But the movie opens, you kind of see like the town's cast of characters. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you thought this was funny, but they had a woman, and I think her name is Carol in the movie. And she owns like a bakery or deli or something next door. And she's just like wildly passive aggressive to Alana and her family.
She's trying to give them this Christmas loaf.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Well, I was also like, so in the movie, they're like, oh, got to run away from Carol because she'll give us the Christmas loaf. And they literally they just turn their back on this woman. I was like, this is the rudest thing I've ever seen.
But I'm like, there's clearly some family drama going on here. I'm like, I would like to see a Hallmark original about Carol and the drama with the Fan of the Year family.
Yes. It's just like small town America propaganda.
Yes.
And also in the first 5 minutes, Alana, the main character, talks to camera direct address.
I forgot about that.
And I just lost it. I was like, we're in for an amazing
wild ride.
Derek and Alana meet because he is new in town. Also, a lot of detail about his background that I was like,
oh, we have to we'll unpack that. I was like, some childhood trauma that he needs to work through.
But that is not relevant to the story.
Not relevant at all.
So he works for the Chiefs in marketing.
Yes.
And it is filmed. This film was sanctioned by the Chiefs in the NFL.
Correct.
So it's basically just Chiefs merch propaganda.
Yes. Yes, they show
and
much
facility
propaganda. It's like, look at our new facility. We spent millions and millions of dollars, and there's just drone shots, and it's insane. But yeah, so Derek is the director of fan engagement for the Chiefs, but he's a disgruntled new guy in town who doesn't get the Kansas City spirit. And so his coworkers for the Kansas City Chiefs are you got to really get into town, know the community. You should go to this barbecue place.
You haven't had Kansas City barbecue?
Haven't had it. They said that line at least 5 times.
Yeah.
I was we get it.
They repeated a lot of stuff in this script.
They repeated so much.
It was really, it's like trust your audience.
They
didn't trust their audience at all. They hit their audience over the head with a football.
It was so many obvious lines. One of my favorite ones at the beginning was Alana. Her parents walk into their Chiefs merch store that they have, and she just goes, "Hi, Mom and Dad." It's we got the context that they're likely your parents. You don't need to put that in the script.
So the family of this magic hat, the family is one of 3 families up for Fan of the Year, which is a real thing that the Chiefs do.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh,
and they own, as you said, this merch store, but it looks, I was like, is this an Airport Hudson News? It looks like a merch store at a stadium. I was like, the NFL must have been an absolute nightmare to work with on set design. It is the most sterile corporate looking store in small town America I've ever seen.
Well, and I'm sure they also couldn't have any logos of Nike logos, branded logos, that have Chiefs merch. So they had to get budget Chiefs merch.
No, I think it was sanctioned. I think it was real Chiefs merch.
You think?
Yeah, because it was the whole.
Oh, well, maybe.
Because the whole thing.
Because I'm it felt like there was too many no logos in it. There were not enough logos, and so it just felt like...
I think the merch is just badly designed, and they don't have the logos.
You know what it reminded me of? Have you ever been to a kids museum that has a fake grocery store in it, and you can check out? I don't know if you're a type A kid and also enjoyed doing things like that, because I certainly did as a kid.
Love a children's museum so much.
They're so good. To me, it felt like you were in a children's museum version of a merch store at an NFL game. 100%. That's what it felt like. It was fake. It was too fake.
In what world is there just a merch store in small town America that is licensed by the NFL? I was like, what?
Correct.
It was incredible. It was amazing.
But anyway, so Derek's coworkers are you got to go try Kansas City barbecue. He goes to a restaurant. Oh my God, lo and behold, who owns the restaurant but Alana's family?
Oh my goodness. Nick and Nora's. It's her dad's parents. I couldn't keep the grandparents straight. I was like, one of the grandmothers was dead, and there were 2 grandfathers, and they never made it clear which of her parents came from which of them.
Unclear.
Didn't matter.
Unclear. Also, wait, I'm just realizing something.
Yeah.
They named the barbecue place the same name as that movie, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
Oh.
Do you remember that movie?
Infinite Playlist?
Wait, is that what it's called?
Long Adventure?
Wait.
Also, Nora is the name of...
Yeah. Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, a 2008 rom-com starring Michael Cera and Alexis Disney. Oh, yeah, and then Kat Dennings is in it. Remember?
Oh, yeah. Wait, is it Nick and Nora's or Nick and Norma's?
No, it's Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
But in the Kansas City barbecue.
It's called, I'll tell you, I wrote it down.
Is it Norma?
Oh,
because Norma...
Wait. Yeah, it's Norma Nix.
You want to know why?
Because I really wish it had been called Nick and Nora's Infinite Barbecue.
Norma Hunt is the former owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, who is married to Lamar Hunt, who founded the Chiefs, whose son is Clark Hunt, who is the current owner of the Chiefs, who is the father of Gracie, Nobel, and Ava Hunt, who were in the movie.
Okay, it felt like there were so many highly specific Kansas City Easter egg references. There would be scenes where I'm like, clearly this is a cameo, but I have no idea who this person is. And I was like, again, clearly the Chiefs were like, we're only doing this movie if we get these cameos. But I don't think people in Montana are like, who are these people when I'm watching this movie? They're not I recognize them.
No.
Did you recognize any of those people?
I think some of them were probably super fans, people that
it felt like
high,
that. The guy with the socks.
Yes,
the guy with the socks.
I almost knocked my water over. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I was like, this has to be a fan.
Well, because Alana is starstruck the entire movie. Anytime anybody from the Chiefs organization shows up, she's like, her lips start quivering. She's like, oh, I couldn't possibly.
Yeah.
You're royalty.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, back on track. It's not Nick and Nora's barbecue. Norma Nix. Norma Nix. Is that what it is? Nick and Norma's. Well, it doesn't matter. Anyways, he eats there, and like obviously, lo and behold, her mom is there and grandma, and are like, "Oh my god, ooh, new in town." Like,
and they're like, "Our daughter's single. Do you want to date her?"
Yeah,
about that subtle.
Could you imagine?
And then Alana shows up, and she's like, "Mom, grandma, you're embarrassing me." And she's like, "But Derek's kind of cute." And Derek has been advised by his colleagues not to tell anyone that he meets in town that he works for the Chiefs, because they'll just ask him for tickets.
They'll take advantage of him.
So Derek says nothing to this family who's obsessed with the Chiefs, who are up for Chiefs Fan of the Year.
Right.
And the big plot twist, you might imagine, is that Derek is the one.
Oh, don't
no,
sorry.
Don't say
it yet.
Right.
Don't say it yet.
Because they get in a fight first.
Yeah. But so Alana and Derek kind of have like a little witty banter moment, and I think it was in that moment, or maybe it was later. It's all a blur. When Derek drops, I would say, a bombshell that he was I studied abroad kid vibes, and he's like an international school kid accent. You know, he basically talks about how he like traveled around the world with his parents and like lived in Europe when he was a kid and like never had a home
and didn't have an American Christmas. I mean, it made him out. They were basically like, "Look at this pinko commie."
Yeah,
it was what?
I know it was. I was like, wait, they were like, he was like, I lived in Paris, and you're like, okay,
you're like sick,
like cool, but it was like he was making out like he really struggled.
He was like, I wrote letters to Santa every year with a change of address in case he couldn't find me.
I was like, Derek's not well.
Derek is not well. Also, Alana was like, I'm an only child too, and Derek was like, I'm an only child, and I'm an only child.
Yeah.
And I was ready for it to be like hardcore, like only children suck, we hate them, but then they just never bring it up again.
No, they never bring it up.
So
there's a lot of like
neutral event.
There's a lot of lines said that reveal something and then never addressed again.
No.
Moving on.
So they go back to this store. And Alana's parents and grandparents are just always hanging out together. They're always around. They're at the store. They're all, or he leaves the restaurant and then he goes back and he gets lost and sees them decorating the tree. And they were like, you again?
And they had the ornament, the beef ornament.
Oh my God.
They had these ornaments. They're like all they decorate the town. It's like, oh, we decorate the town around Christmas, which fine, whatever. But then they're like going through the actual ornaments they're putting on their like Christmas decoration tree thing. And it's like a beef ornament.
Barbecue.
I know, but I'm like,
okay.
Like,
obviously.
I'm like, where did they get this? Who made this? Etsy? Someone tell me who the seller is.
Or someone in town who we didn't get to meet, but has an ornament business.
Also, they had no budget for that person's line.
No. I wonder, part of me wonders if Netflix put money into this movie, because every 2 minutes they say, are you going to the Christmas Day game this year?
I thought about that.
Did you?
Yes, but then I looked it up. They're not in a Christmas game, are they? I don't think that they are.
Are they not?
I'm pretty sure they're not one of the Christmas. That I thought that too. I was like, it was the Eagles. It was like, oh, the
Chiefs Eagles.
Let me check.
Okay, because the subtlety here again was.
Okay, sorry. They are playing. They are playing a Christmas game. They're playing the Steelers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they just took a guess. This was filmed in July also.
In 100-degree heat.
So you can tell that everyone's just sweating the whole time in their winter hats.
Also, there's like a whole through line through the movie that Derek is cold all the time. And he's never dressed appropriately. I'm like, you live in Kansas City, even if it's 100-degree heat. Why didn't the costume people like put him in? Like, no one is in warm enough clothes for like where they're supposed to be living and what time of year it is.
Absolutely not. And I think he's supposed to be cold because it's like he's an outsider. He doesn't know how to dress here.
You would think he would, considering apparently he's lived in all of these European countries and he's like a well-traveled man.
Derek. Oh my God. He looks broken.
No, he looks
a little bit. He doesn't look well.
He's not well. I'm like, this man needs something. And I don't know what it is.
So things start to go south when Alana, the girl love interest, is like, come check out our store. And Derek goes with her, and again, her whole entire family. And she shows him the store, and then Grandpa Paul is like, show him the fan cave. And they go to this back room. That is like, once again, it looks like a suite at a sporting event.
Yeah.
It is the most corporate, non-homey thing I've ever seen. And Derek doesn't know who Len Dawson was. And it's like, okay.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is. He was a good chief in like
it was
1970.
I know. It's like too many really specific Chiefs references for the movie. I'm like, just make this as an internal HR movie that everyone who becomes a Chiefs employee has to watch. Like that's what it kind of felt like.
It was like a training video for how to be a Chiefs fan. And you're like, okay, I guess I love Len Dawson now.
Yeah.
But so Derek gets a lot of shit for not knowing who he is because but they don't know he works for the Chiefs at this point either. And then Alana says, well, our family's famous in town because we're responsible for the Super Bowls.
And when you're like, huh? You're like, what?
And she's like, well, because of this magic hat that every year we've worn it on Christmas, they've gone to, and there's a Christmas Day game, they've gone to the Super Bowl except for 2019.
Dun, dun, dun.
And we don't know why, but we guess it is something to do with a grandparent.
Well, and when they brought in the hat storyline of this kind of, they have a superstition around the hat. My immediate thought was, did they rip this plot line from Silver Linings Playbook? And Robert De Niro's character, if you remember in the movie, he's like a super Eagles fan and like has all these superstitions about the Eagles. I'm like, did someone who worked on this movie also work on Silver Linings Playbook? I was like, let's bring back a superstition line with a highly specific NFL team. It wasn't a hat in that movie, but I was like, literally, this is off-brand Robert De Niro.
Speaking of the Eagles, you know what we forgot to say?
What?
Was that the manager of Norma and Nick's is Donna Kelsey, is
Literally.
Travis Kelsey's mother, who is the manager. And I mean, she was the best part of the movie.
She was amazing.
I loved her.
She was great.
She wore a signed Travis Kelsey uniform, but she doesn't play his mom.
No.
So
no.
Does Travis Kelsey, is he a part of this Chiefs universe?
I feel like
with a different mom?
I weirdly feel like he had to have signed off on the movie, even though it's not about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey.
He was like, "Mom, get that paycheck."
Yeah, get that paycheck. What do you think she got paid for that?
It was probably half the budget.
Probably,
because the fake snow at the end looked really bad. Anyway, the whole point of this hat superstition is that Alana's really excited to show Derek this hat, and that's the reason that the Chiefs have won Super Bowls. And he basically says, okay, cool, if you believe in that kind of thing. And the family looks like they're going to murder him. I'm also like, first of all, Derek, play along. Second of all, family, you actually, like, Alana's like, I believe in magic.
Yeah.
This hat is the reason that we won the Super Bowl. And you're like, was it?
You're like, I promise you it wasn't the reason. But go off, Alana. Go off. It felt like I had been transported into a ride at Disneyland.
Yes.
It was like, believe in the magic. I was like, is this also sponsored by Disney? Disney and Netflix are involved in this movie?
You're so right. It was so like the magic of, like, you're a Grinch. Magic. You're an asshole if you don't think this hat is the reason that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl.
I did think it was weird tonally that Derek was so anti the hat, though, in that point. Like, if I'm actually thinking about the writing of this, I actually think it was a weird choice for his character to make. Yeah. Because if you're early on dating someone, what do we know more than anything? You just agree with everything the other person says because you want them to like you. Yeah. Let's be real. That's really what's it. You're like, oh, my favorite color is blue. Oh my God, mine is also blue.
Oh my God, same.
I'm an only child. Oh my God, I'm also an only child. It's like, well, or no.
Unless you have siblings.
No,
that's a weird one to lie about.
No, I'm not saying you would lie about it.
But
I mean, it's just true. Kind of, yes, you like just kind of agree with the things that you find common ground about. And it was just a weird choice to have him immediately be like, I mean, yes, it's insane. And I agree, like, that it was nuts. But I'm like, it felt like a weird choice.
I totally agree. It's like, go with it.
Just go with it.
Who cares?
Don't you want to date this girl?
Yeah.
You're new in town.
If you find out later she believes in too much magic, you can break up.
Exactly. If you find out later that she's a Disney adult, you can break up with her.
So, Derek leaves, and Alana's pissed.
Yeah.
And it turns out Derek goes back to work at the Chiefs facility, which we see a lot of.
There's so much Chiefs facility propaganda in this movie.
Crazy. And they're in a conference room, and the head of marketing is like, Derek, you have to go tell the Hat family. What was their last name?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, whatever. Alana's family, that they are
Hats.
Up for fan of the year, and they know it, and they're expecting him, but he's the guy who has to go tell them.
Yeah, awkward.
So he walks back into the store, and his head's hanging low, and Alana sees him, and she's like, get out, we're waiting for someone from the Chiefs. And he's like, I am someone
Chiefs.
from the Chiefs.
Dun dun dun. No, him doing that was very funny. But before we talk about that, actually, I had a question for you.
Oh yeah.
When they do that scene in the conference room, and there's a blonde lady, she's in a couple of the Office scenes.
Is she? Oh, I thought you meant the show The Office.
No. That would be funny.
Yeah.
No, but there's a blonde woman in a lot of the Kansas City office scenes. And I'm like, does she work for the Chiefs in real life? She seemed like she wasn't fully an actress. There is this one woman in it. If anyone has seen this movie, and I feel like is she related to the owner's family or something? She has long blonde hair. And I'm like, this woman doesn't seem like an actress. And I couldn't exactly pinpoint what it was about her performance that didn't fit, but it just didn't quite fit.
Oh, man.
No.
I've got to.
We'll look it up.
We'll look it up.
Again, we did so much research for this bonus episode.
Yeah. Wait.
But if anyone's listening and knows, DM me.
Meet the real life love story.
Oh, I looked that up. That article doesn't
this?
say anything.
Okay, never mind.
No, it's like about their own actual real relationships.
I
It's
don't
not related
care.
to sports.
Could not care less.
But anyway, so yes, when he comes, that's just an aside. If anyone's watched this movie and
no, I think
knows
you're
what I'm
right.
talking
I think she could be the head of marketing.
She had. I feel like she was. There's something about her performance. I was like, this is not quite acting. So he comes in, and Alana is in denial that Derek is actually the one who works for the Chiefs.
Yeah, she doesn't believe him.
She doesn't believe him, and he's like, no, babe, I do work for the Chiefs, unfortunately for you.
And your fate as to whether you will be fan of the year is in my little hands.
I thought at that point in the movie, when they kind of revealed like, oh, that's sort of the twist, I thought that was going to be it. Like that was, and I was like, really?
And then they were off to the races.
And they were off to the races, but we'll get to it in a little bit. But this kind of second reveal that relates to the hat as kind of the conflict of the film.
Yeah, you know how rom-coms work. It's like, you meet, you don't like each other, then you fall in love, and then there's a conflict before you get back together again. The conflict of this movie was absolutely incredible. But before we get there, Alana and Derek start dating.
Yeah.
They, he gets a feature written on the family for Chiefs.com, and she's like, "We're famous." I'm like, "Are you?"
It's not the New York Times. Not the New York Times.
Maybe in Kansas City. Also, apparently in Kansas City, like people were so excited to do this that extras were just.
They had over 1,000 extras from Kansas City in the movie.
Honestly, I probably would have done it.
Oh, are you kidding me? I'm shocked we weren't called.
Me too.
Rude, Hallmark.
Next year. So anyway, what happens? He ends up doing Christmas with their family, or Christmas Eve.
Yes, and he gave
because they work on Christmas, so it's like, oh, we started this tradition.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with Fan of the Year is that they are up for tickets to the Christmas game and they get to go on the sidelines and hang out before the game if they win Fan of the Year.
Right. Correct. And Derek presents a gift to the family, and it's this big box, and they unwrap it, and what's inside but none other than the 2 seats that the family had in the old stadium when they met.
Like the literal physical
seats
from, I'm going to look up
and
what
the
it's
grandpa
called.
In this movie, he's very excited he gets these seats.
But his wife has since died.
Away. Yes.
And so he sits there and he's just thinking about all the lovely times with his wife at these Chiefs games at Municipal Stadium. That's
Municipal, yeah.
And then, Derek comes over and I'm like, first of all, I think you've known each other for a week and a half at this point. Second of all, they sit down and he's like passing the torch to the next generation. I'm like, this is moving real fast.
Real fast. Also, for Derek, it was a bold gift for early on in their dating. It was only a couple scenes before where they have their first kiss, and famously, I wrote this down. I don't know. I can't even remember if she said this or he did. One of them says, quote, "Maybe someday is actually right now." About like, well, when can we kiss? That had just happened. And then the couple scenes later, you're buying your not even girlfriend yet, or we don't really know, family, like the seats from the original stadium. Like those weren't cheap.
No, things are moving real fast.
Real fast.
And Derek also takes Alana to the Chiefs holiday party as his date, or as his pick for Fan of the Year.
Right.
Because there are 2 other marketing people who are lobbying for their Fan of the Year to win Fan of the Year. One of which is a cat named Catrick Mahomes,
which I loved.
Me too. He's sitting there with McCole Hardman, who is an actual player for the Chiefs, and Clark Hunt, the owner of the Chiefs' 2 blonde daughters. And then there's a cat.
That's who that was.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Alana's family is like, we can't lose to a cat.
Which I'm like, okay.
And the other family that's up for Fan of the Year is just a family that puts a bunch of Chief decorations on their house.
Yeah, which I don't know if that deserved it anyways.
No.
But no, at that Christmas party, did you notice they did an insane drone shot from the stadium. They go out, Alana and Derek go into the kind of stands and just have a moment. And there's an insane drone shot. And I can't tell if halfway through the drone shot, it becomes CGI. But then when they zoom in, like they did the close-ups actually in the stadium.
No,
I'm like,
I completely
the budget
agree.
only covered half the CGI. They're like, shit, we got to go actually to the stadium to film this.
I know that they filmed it in the actual stadium because the holiday party takes place in the press box.
No.
That's where I have watched multiple Chiefs. I have covered multiple Chiefs AFC Championship games from where they are standing when Alana meets a current player and like freaks out. I think, who is it? Trey Smith, maybe? No, it's not.
I wrote it down. I don't remember. Oh, Trent. No, wait. No, I don't know.
Okay.
I wrote out another player. It doesn't matter.
They were
an old guy.
just
There's so many random cameos.
and it's
whatever.
they couldn't get anyone like terribly famous
like Patrick Mahomes.
McCall Hardman, great.
Is he famous?
Yeah, okay. yeah. But he's not Patrick Mahomes,
right?
So also thank God Harrison Butker wasn't in it. I was so worried. The kicker who
we don't need to talk about
you
him.
can Google him, but not my favorite.
No.
And so I was watching this and I was like, that is the media dining room and that is the press box.
Only you would spot that, and I love it. That is hilarious.
I was like, I've spent a lot of time.
You're like, I've been there.
And where they walk out, walk out into the stadium in an upper deck.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I've taken an Instagram picture there because it's like the easiest place to get to from the press box.
Okay,
so that's the context.
Inside scoop.
Yeah,
right here.
Yeah. So things seem to be going well, Madeline. Also, they say at one point, her parents are like, well, Alana was a competitive swimmer. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Alana is far too short to be a competitive swimmer.
Far too short.
I just had to get that off my chest.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Did you notice, though, before we continue talking about the plot, I don't know if in whatever you're watching this on, that there were ads for Kansas City when I was watching it.
No.
Like, whatever, on
Fubo
demand.
or
whatever I was watching. The ads were like, for Kansas City. I'm like, this was entirely paid for by Kansas City and the NFL.
The mayor makes a cameo.
Yes. Was that the real mayor? Mayor Lucas?
Yes.
Okay. I literally wrote down Mayor Lucas, real mayor, ?
Oh, wait. Also, one thing that Derek said that I think is one of the funniest lines I've ever heard in a movie is when they get into a fight in the beginning about the hat and then he leaves and comes back. He says to her, he says, sorry for being salty in the fan cave.
Insane line.
I would wear that on a t-shirt.
I would wear that on a hat.
Oh, it's like, sorry for being salty in the fan cave. Play on man cave.
Iconic.
Anyways. So let's cut to the chase of this hat.
Yeah.
Because there's disaster strikes with this hat.
Disaster strikes. They're at, what was that event they're at? They're at like an event for Fan of the Year or something.
Where they haven't learned if they are Fan of the Year yet.
In like another Chiefs building. Mm-hmm. It looked like a practice facility or something. It had a lot of windows. And they're standing there. Derek is standing there with Alana, and they're a couple. Mm-hmm. And they have the hat on like a pedestal thing for people to come and look at.
The magic hat.
It's
actually on a football.
Oh, it's on a football, not a pedestal.
But... Same thing. And people are coming up looking at it, whatever. You don't need to know the details. But then, oh my God, what happens? The hat disappears. The hat disappears. Because Santa, the same Santa who gave... Budget Santa. We were watching, my husband watched this with me. I made him watch this with me. I'm so sorry, Tyler. He goes... That is the worst Santa casting I've ever seen in my life. He once shot a commercial that was like Christmas themed in the country of Georgia. Uh-huh. And he was like, we cast a better Santa in the country of Georgia than they were able to find.
This Santa didn't even like really have a beard.
He was thin.
Yes, it was like, I was like, I don't want a thin Santa. I don't need like Ozempic Santa.
No, I don't.
Give me like normal... cookie-eating Santa.
Put a fake beard on him. I don't care.
I'm like, you could... I'm also shocked. I'm like, you couldn't find someone in Kansas City who could have played that role. Like, or a local Santa. Like, I actually think that would have been a better casting choice.
I totally agree. Or put a white beard on Andy Reid, the Chiefs head coach, and call it a day.
Yes. Yeah.
he probably wouldn't have agreed to do all of those scenes because this is the same Santa who gave Grandpa Paul in 1955 this hat. So the magic is that Santa is real, I think.
Yes.
Is what is my takeaway from this.
I think you're right.
It's the same Santa.
Yeah.
And he's already old when he gives him a hat in 1955.
Yeah, right. The age math ain't math in there. So the hat is missing, obviously.
I wrote down in my notes Stalker Santa because he just keeps showing up.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know about this. And Alana is like, oh my God, I can't tell my family that this hat is missing. Which I don't really understand that choice because I'm like, it's not like it was her fault that it was on the thing and then it's gone.
Right.
You know?
Right, exactly. And it's also her real worry is that if they win Fan of the Year and they don't have the hat and the Chiefs lose on Christmas Day, the entire town of Independence, Kansas, Missouri. I don't know where. I don't know. I think the town's called Independence where they live.
Oh, is that true?
Like, I don't like. Maybe it's Kansas City.
I don't
know. I'm very confused by the whole thing.
Vibes. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, she's like, everybody in Kansas City will come after us with pitchforks because it'll be our fault that the Chiefs lost because we lost the magic hat.
Right. That's not good.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's the most insane. I'm like, this girl, I'm like, you need to go talk to someone. You are holding on a lot of family trauma. And like, clearly this is a generational pattern of this family holding on and projecting negative energy or whatever's going on in their lives onto a literal hat.
And her mom and grandmother and they're putting way too much pressure on her to get married.
Way too much pressure. Yes.
And have kids. And I'm like, this woman is losing her mind.
Cut her some slack.
Yeah. So I think that she ends up telling them they lost the hat at that Christmas party. I was wrong. They find out they're Fan of the Year, and then Derek goes to Christmas at their house, and then she tells her family that she lost the hat.
Yeah, I love we are so not telling this chronologically, which is funny. I'm just laughing because moments just come to me of what happened in this movie that I'm like, this is
because it didn't make chronological sense anyway.
No, it didn't. Yes, but you're right. I think that is the timeline.
So her family.
Wait, you're forgetting another detail.
What?
Derek and Alana have a fight about the hat. Do you remember this?
This is after though. Yeah.
After the family scene.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Were you going to say?
Oh, yeah. I have more to say about the family scene. Oh, my God.
Okay,
Madeline, are you kidding me? She flips out. She says to her parents, I lost the hat. The hat is gone.
Yeah.
And her mom and dad are like, it's okay. Maybe you're taking the hat a little too seriously. The magic is basically like the hat is the friends we made along the way.
Correct.
Is what they're trying to tell her. And she goes, if we don't have the hat, we'll lose the family business. We will get run out of town.
And you're like, by who?
And even her parents in the Hallmark movie are like, sweetie, I think we need to take it down a couple notches.
Chill out.
And then she and Derek get into this is the most incredible third act conflict of a rom-com I've ever seen.
It's insane. So they go outside after she like needs to cool down or whatever and is walking and they get in a fight and Derek says to her, you have more faith in a hat than you do in me. About Derek.
And she is like, you don't believe in the hat.
Correct.
We are over.
Yeah.
And they ostensibly break up even though they never have the conversation like, are we broken up or not? Derek just walks away.
Yeah.
And
unclear.
So the next day is Christmas and it is time for them to go onto the field to win Fan of the Year. But they're at a tailgate, which is the most sanitized tailgate I've ever seen.
So clean.
I mean, really clean.
Yeah.
And Alana's like, I can't go in. I'm too embarrassed.
Yeah.
By how I handled things, by how I cared about the hat too much, by how I let Derek go.
Which is like, okay, sure. They need some conflict, I guess, but it didn't really make any sense.
No, it made no sense.
And so her family goes in without her and she's standing in the parking lot. And a man with socks comes up to her. And I don't know if you noticed this in that scene. There's a woman next to him in an Eagles jersey who just doesn't speak.
Yeah.
There's just a woman with him and she's just standing there like this. And I'm like, is she an extra and they just had to put her in? I'm like, why is she in an Eagles jersey?
That's why that guy has to be someone famous.
He has to be someone famous.
Or like Kansas City famous and his wife is a Eagles fan and everybody knows them around town, but they're still married. You know, like there was something specific going on that we were not let let in on
it was
the joke.
just so random. I was like, why is this man with the socks? Like, what is happening here? He's like, I haven't changed my socks since blah, blah, blah.
Because she says, I can't go in without the hat. I don't know why she's telling this to some random guy. And he's like, he was like, we're going to win because I have my lucky socks on. Yeah. And that's when Alana starts to realize everybody probably has a superstition like this.
Correct.
And the real magic is that we're all together and that we believe in this team, and that she keeps saying this team is the reason my family exists. Yes. And I'm like, this is the NFL's tentacles have crept so far deep into this film.
Deep. Well, Alana had a big monologue moment where she said, quote, "The magic is not in the hat. Mm-hmm. It's in what the hat represents. The belief that we're part of something bigger than ourselves, knowing that we have each other's backs no matter what." Give her an Oscar.
If anybody
give her an Oscar.
If anybody listened to or watched our main episode from this week, in which Madeline read aloud a Tree Payne, Taylor Swift's publicist, quote in People magazine, and then quickly realized that it was actually nothing. Like she'd managed to say actually nothing, and
it also wasn't attributed to Tree Payne.
Sorry,
we just think it was.
Sorry. It was a
source. Yeah,
sorry,
and it was like the most word salad.
That's what this speech is.
100%. No, it is. So she decides to go into the stadium. They go in and they're on the field. And who is the person with the microphone who's the MC?
Oh, well, hold on. First, she runs into the stadium and Derek's just there and he goes and gets her and the fight's over. No resolution.
No resolution.
He's just like, come here, you, and then they're off to the races.
He's also not dressed appropriately again for the weather.
Well, no, he's wearing this leather Chiefs jacket, and there are all these extras in Arrowhead just bundled up, and it's 120 degrees in that stadium in July.
Did you watch the YouTube video behind the scenes?
No.
Oh, so, the reason I bring up the MC is Jenna Bush Hager, the anchor from the Today Show. And there is a clip from the Today Show where she's filming her lines. It was 120 degrees.
It literally was?
In July. They really filmed it in July. So all these poor fans are sitting there in winter clothes.
And everyone's like, I don't care. I love the Chiefs because we have magic hats too.
Ride or die. Ride or die for the Chiefs.
So anyway, they get introduced at midfield as fan of the year, and everyone starts chanting like, "Where's the hat?" Yeah. Everyone in the crowd is like knows about the hat.
Yeah,
I don't know. And Alana says, "I lost the hat."
Yeah,
and takes the microphone from Jenna Bush Hager.
Yeah, and goes on a rant. Actually, now I'm realizing I don't know if that was when she said that monologue, but I don't remember.
If it wasn't that one, it was something else.
Something similar. Yeah, something similar. Did you notice the green screen use in that scene?
Unbelievable.
Insane.
So there's one wide shot where they're in the state. They must have had only 1 day in the stadium.
Yeah, I'm sure.
There's one wide shot where they're in the stadium, and then every close up or every intimate moment between her and her family, who are ostensibly standing at midfield, is in front of the most obvious green screen.
Yeah. Correct.
I've ever seen.
Correct. There was green screen use in this movie like no other. They used it. There were actually a couple other points of the movie I had to go back and pause. There were a couple family scenes where I was like, I actually don't think these people were together when they filmed this scene. Like there was a family shot and I was like, no way, this whole cast is here. It looks too green screeny, like an AI person was plopped on the screen.
Totally. I totally agree. And like they were fuzzy in the background sometimes. I don't know. The movie ends with Derek saying, "Everybody look under your seat," and everybody puts on a brand new Chiefs hat. This is really just the most extended Kansas City Chiefs merch commercial I have ever seen.
It was insane.
It was like they put the whole NFL store just on. They were like, "You too can." I'm surprised they didn't say that in the movie.
Like that there wasn't a promo code.
Yeah,
like use Chiefs 20 for 20% off.
Use promo code Magic Hat. Amazing.
You're so right. I also then think about the logistics of like they got all of these hats made. Like so many of these hats for this movie.
Or they were cheaper and those are just the hats that they already make for the winner.
That's
you mean the special magic hat?
No, I mean like the beanie. That was the magic beanie
the magic
that everyone
beanie.
had under their seat.
Yeah.
Also, a key moment in this moment at midfield was that Andy Reid, the head coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, makes an appearance. He's in the movie.
And he says, "Get off the field. We have football to play," which a head coach would never ever do.
Iconic, though.
Incredible.
I love that he did it, though.
Me too.
I'm like, I think it's great that he like played along or, whatever.
he seems down to clown, as they say.
Down to clown. That movie was a lot of being down for clowning.
And you know what? We were down to clown, too.
Oh, it's down to clown. Would you rate this movie highly? What rating would you give it?
So I don't think you can rate this movie on a normal movie rating scale. Okay. I was worried when we were like, we'll watch this. I was like, oh man, is this going to be one of those things where we sit down and it's just sort of a slog to get through?
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I was pretty riveted the entire time. I was like,
I was
locked in. Like I was watching to be like, what happened?
Yeah.
Well, do they find the hat?
Right.
And then at the end, Santa shows up. The same creepy Santa.
So bad vibes.
Shows up and gives the grandfather the original hat. And I'm like, so did you steal it at the holiday party?
I think he did. They never really addressed that, but I think he did.
It's supposed to be that he's magic, so he found the hat, but I think he just stole it.
No, I think he just stole it to be a weirdo. He's just a weirdo. Santa's a weirdo is the conclusion of this movie. But I agree. I enjoyed the movie, and I also feel like I'm like, oh, this is just their format for these movies.
Exactly.
And it works. Like clearly we're silly talking SHIT about this movie, but I'm like, I think this is just their format, and they're like, we win because people watch this.
And you know what? I might have to check out more now.
100%.
Because I actually think it's a very effective formula.
Yes.
There's a real art to writing this too, because like it's made specifically not to be smart.
Yeah, right.
And it's almost harder to write something that is like purposely not nuanced.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of admiration for the people who write and make and act in these, because to act in them too, you really have to give yourself over to the idea that you believe in this magic hat. And in Hallmark movies.
And
I think there's something really beautiful about that.
I think you're so right. And I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot more of these Hallmark movies that are NFL propaganda. And I actually think probably the next one will be a movie about a bad team, like Jacksonville Jaguars, or
really?
I don't know what NFL teams are bad this year. I don't know.
Oh God.
Whatever. Just a team that has a bad record. I don't. Do the Jaguars have a bad record?
Yeah.
Okay, they do.
The Jets.
The Jets, like a Jets version to like kind of like be fan propaganda to get people to want to watch Jets games or buy Jets merch. Like I could see that formula working in other teams in other leagues being like, wait, I want a propaganda movie.
No, that's so smart. You're
like, isn't there a baseball team that like the White Sox, like they have no one showing up to the games?
Yes. The White Sox are the next one, because it'll remind people like, remember how much your grandfather loved this team when it was good?
It's like nostalgia.
And then you think about your family, and then you're like, you know what? Maybe I do love the Jets.
Exactly.
I think you're right. I think we're going to get one from a bad team. I also think that these are so fun because you can make fun of them.
Yeah.
The cheesiness is so beautiful
It's
that
beautiful.
you can just be like, this was. But also, I think because neither of us had ever seen a Hallmark movie, this was like particularly fun to dig into, because we were like, what is this?
Yeah, what is this? Now we know. Now I'm in the universe. I'm in the Hallmark universe. And I guess the main takeaway too here is that ultimately this was a movie about a company and office-based romance. And what have we talked about on the Sports Gossip Show more than anything?
NFL teams, professional teams in
Yeah.
general, are companies.
And this is about the company, the literal company.
This is about the people who work in marketing for that company. You're so right. And it's about how beautiful their new practice facilities are.
And hey, they look great.
And apparently, the Chiefs Hallmark movie had huge TV ratings and beat most football games in that time slot, according to the Kansas City Star, which I would say maybe is a little bit of a biased source, but I believe that this guy wrote
support local journalism.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Well, I think we'll be getting like 14 more of these next year.
Also, apparently, Independence Square in Kansas City sees an uptick. This is a headline. Sees holiday boost thanks to Chiefs Hallmark movie. This movie is doing what it was built to do. This movie is driving tourism to Kansas City, is making people buy Chiefs merch.
Great. This is great. This is all around a win. So yeah, I think you're right. I think we can't rate the movie.
No.
Other than it was a good time.
5 magic hats.
5 magic hats.
Also, one thing. The Chiefs, I really don't like the Chiefs colors.
I
find them very garish.
They're hard to pull off.
The fact that we had to look at ketchup and mustard for the whole movie.
It's hard to pull off. It's hard. I would be fine. Like they have a white jersey. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one I'm like, that's fine.
Yes.
Show more of that in the merch. So that's my one piece of feedback for the Chiefs.
That's our main takeaway.
Yeah, main takeaway. Just make some more white merch with the red. I think that would be a better color combo.
All right. Well, this was our first Sports Gossip Show event recap.
Yeah. Thank you for sticking around. I hope it wasn't too rambly and chaotic. I think we had a good time. And I hope you did also if you've made it this far.
We had a great time.
This was great.
There'll be more.
There'll be more. Just you wait.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.